For today's Smash Those Small Pads challenge, I'm smashing 2 partial 6x6 pads and not leaving any scraps left over. Stick around if you'd like to see how I do it. Hey, it's Beth. Welcome. Today for the Smash Those Small Pads collaboration, I'm going to do something a little wacky. I have 2 pads that I have been working on this month. Chickens from Echo Park. I have about 8 full sheets. And then this wedding day pad from Paper House, I have 15 full sheets. Now, these 2 pads are pretty much completely different from each other, but since I have a total of about 23 sheets, I am going to try and use them up using my workbook 1, No Scraps Workbook 1. It is for a 24 sheet pad, but I have used it before if I've had like less sheets or if I've had cut apart sheets. There's just 1 card sketch that I can leave out. So what I will do is go through and kind of pair up papers for the cutting guides, the sketches that I need. So like I know for cutting guide 2, I think cutting guide 1 is the one I leave out if I have less than 24 sheets. But like cutting guide 2, 4 different sheets of pattern paper. So I would probably pick 4 from the same pad and then kind of make my cards. So the only kind of weird thing I think will be the cardstock. I may not be able to fully follow the cardstock cutting guides because I don't know that I will use the same color of matting layers for both pads. But other than that, I'm hoping that this will help me make a good amount of cards without having to think too hard or work too hard. And I haven't used my workbook in a while, and so I thought I'd pull it out and play with it. So let's see if I can pull this off. Okay, I have gone through both pads, emptied them out. Oh, I thought I emptied them out. Oh, there's 1 sheet left. All right, that's okay. I know what I can do with that one. Make sure that one's empty. Okay, now they are emptied out. And I have assigned the papers to sketches. These are the envelopes that I use for my card pieces once I've gone through the cutting guides. So I've just used these right now to separate. So for guide 2, and what I did is I kind of looked at the guide to see what size of pieces I was cutting. And then I also referenced the sketches that those pieces went onto just to kind of see which patterns might work the best. So cutting guide 2 for sketches 2A and 2B, I am using 4 sheets from the chickens pad. Cutting guide 3, which uses 4 sheets, I went with 4 sheets from the wedding day pad. So these are for sketches 3A and 3B. Guide 4 for 4A and 4B. Again, I went with 4 patterns from wedding day. Cutting guide 5. Go back to 5. I went with 2 greeting patterns from wedding day. Cutting guide 6, which makes 3 different sketches. I chose 2 patterns from wedding day. Cutting guide 7, I kind of went a little crazy here. I actually took 1 pattern from the chickens and 1 pattern from wedding day. So I'm kind of mixing the pads here for 8A and B. But I thought the brown here kind of worked with the browns in the chicken pattern. And then for guide 7, I went with, these are both from the chicken pad. And then also the chicken pad is double-sided, so if I decide I need to like switch to the B side, I can do that. Or in this case, it would be the A side. I'm actually using the B side. The wedding day pad is single-sided, so just, it's always helpful when you have double-sided paper because you can kind of flip over to use the back side if you choose. And then, did I go backwards? I did. So sketch 7 and then sketch 8 is one I had mixed and matched on. So then I had what I thought were 2 pieces left. It's actually 3 pieces now. 1 from the chicken pad and 2 from the wedding day. So technically I could use all 3 of these together if I really wanted to for sketch 1 or for guide 1, because guide 1 does call for 4 different sheets. I don't have 4 sheets. I have 3 full sheets, but I have scraps. So what I'm going to do is cut what I can from the guide, and then, you know, I can always fill in some of these smaller pieces with some of the scraps I have. I also have some the cut apart pages, which I may not use all of the cut aparts, so I can always use the back sides of those if I need to. And I have, I think these were from the 12 by 12 as collection as well. So I can use these on the back sides if I need to as well. So between all, like with all of this, I should be able to also still make sketches 1A and 1B. So that uses all the paper that was left in both of those pads and gets me through all 8 pattern paper cutting guides. So then my next step will be to go through and figure out what kind of matting layers I want, like what colors, and to see if I can utilize any of my 8.5 by 11 cardstock cutting guides in here, or if I just need to go through and cut mats separately. So I'll kind of think about that, and then we'll go ahead and get everything cut down off camera, and then we can assemble together in the end. I did go ahead and figure out my matting layers, embellishments, and sentiments, and kind of have them all together in the numbered envelopes that I use for each card sketch. So like all of the pieces for sketch 1A are together in the same envelope, and the envelopes just kind of help me keep everything organized. This workbook is a paid workbook, so it's something I released last year, and most of my No Scraps sketches are free to download. However, this one is paid because it does give you like an entire plan to use up a 6x6 pad. So I will have the link to purchase the workbook in the description box below, as well as my debut video from last year if you have not seen that. And it's just a great way to help you kind of work through your stash if you are a paper hoarder like me. And today it's kind of fun to share a little variation on how to use it. If you have partial pads that you want to use up, you can also make that work. I did not follow the cutting guide. I think the cutting guide for sketch 7 pieces was the only cardstock matting layer cutting guide I was able to follow. And then for the rest of them, they crossed so many different sketches that the patterns didn't work for me to use the same cardstock matting layer. I was kind of proud of myself though, because I did go into my specialty cardstock stash, and I have some like bronze, like a little bit of bronze shimmer, some gold mirror. So I was able to incorporate a little bit of shine or shimmer here and there with the cards. So that was kind of fun. And as far as embellishments go, I used cut aparts, especially for the chicken paper. I used cut aparts and a few stickers. For the wedding day pad, that one was kind of a struggle for me to embellish with. I don't know why. Like, I just had a hard time figuring out what I wanted to use with it. So I pulled out a lot of random stuff from my stash, to be honest, and tried to use up some of those florals. I did use some of the cut aparts. There were a few cut aparts that were part of that pad. But not a lot of them were wedding specific related, and not just like things you could use on a wedding card for another couple. It would be like, today I married my best friend, or you and me make the perfect couple, things like that. So I didn't use those, and if I did, it was for like matting layers or punching small pieces out of. So From each of the pads, I did have some cut aparts left. Like for the chickens, that I can just roll in. I have the 12 by 12 collection as well, so I will roll those cut aparts into that collection. And then the wedding one, like I said, I did have a few like wedding specific cut aparts, and then there were some journal cards, and so I will save those. But as far as all of like the usable pattern paper scraps, I did use everything that I possibly could. I did have cardstock scraps left over because I couldn't follow the cutting guides for my matting layers, but that will get easily used in my stash. And I did try to use up some of those smaller pieces for additional matting layers or embellishments that I punch as I go. I'm not going to talk to you through this whole video. It is like 35 minutes of process time, and before I sped it up, it sped up like 5.5 times. Before I sped it up, it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And that's just like assembly. It doesn't count for my like prep work of cutting down the papers and the matting layers. But I think I've timed it before, and it's like from start to finish, it was like maybe... it was less than 5 hours. I don't remember exactly, but it was less than 5 hours. So now, not all of that was done consecutively. Like I didn't have 5 hours to just sit and do it. But I think I had totaled it all up, and it was about 5 hours across, multiple days or different parts of the day or whatever. So just, something to let you know that it does make the process of using up the pad a lot quicker. Sentiments, I feel like I used a gazillion different stamp sets, so I'm not going to link all of them in the description box, but if there is a particular stamp or sentiment that you are interested in, you can let me know in the comments, and I can find the name of it for you or send you a link if I have it. A lot of them, I just felt I was kind of all over the place with the stamp sets. Some of them were also from my stash that were already pre-stamped. So a little bit of everything in this video. And this is a small collaboration that I do with my friend Sarah, who is crafting and relaxing here on YouTube. And every month we just try and pull out a pad or a collection that is smaller than 12 by 12. So, anything smaller than 12 by 12 goes. And we just try and finish it off, enjoy it, get it out of our stash, make something useful and fun with it. So that's what we do, and I will have her channel linked in the description box below as well, so you can hop on over to her channel and find her video and see what she did this month for small pad. So with that being said, I think there was one part where the cat, Whiskey, decided to walk across my desk space with wet paws, and I had to grab him. And then when I turned my camera off, I forgot to turn it back on right away. So I did have part of a card that I think you just saw, where I started it with you and then kind of lost or didn't film it and then finished it with you. But sorry about that. I think that's everything I need to say. I will go ahead and let you listen to some music, and you can craft along with me if you choose, and then we'll touch back with you at the end, because I do have some other projects that I have made over the course of the month with these pads as well. I did have a few scraps left over after, like that I didn't use within the workbook cards, and so I just went ahead and made some scrappy cards with those. And then earlier this month, I debuted my No Scraps sketch set number 21 for 6x6 paper, which made like some post-it note holders, bookmarks, and then cards. So I do have 4 3x3 post-it pads, 2 of the mini pads, 4 bookmarks, and then 2 cards that I made from those, all from the chicken pad. And then for Craft with 5 challenge, I used scraps and some of the KCC 22 sketches and made 4 cards with scraps from the wedding day pad. And then I also just have a scrapbook page from some of our chickens back when they were young. And then we also have the 40 cards that we made today. So these 2 pads kind of stretched really well, and I feel like I got a lot out of them, and I'm happy to have that wedding day pad out of my stash because it has been intimidating me for a while, and was happy to put it to some good use. Thank you for sticking with me this long. Please be sure to check out the links in the description box for the workbook and Sarah's channel. As always, I thank you so very much for your time and hope you all have a very crafty day.